like once I was at the gym with my buddy Dalton, and I was just telling him about, like, he asked just like genuinely how the business was going, and he just asked like how things were, and he just said to me, he's like, dude, like, what was he saying? Because he's been doing work for Northeast Catholic, a little bit like graphic design, and now he's like gonna be working with them. And he was saying, I don't know how that conversation came up between them, but essentially he said, in terms of video content, he was like, yeah, my buddy owns CJ Media, this like video production company that does a lot of work with same type of prep schools that like you guys do. And she's like, and the lady goes, CJ Media? And Dalton was like, oh, you know who CJ Media is? And she was like, and Dalton was like, and no, then the lady went, yeah, like their work is phenomenal. Like I love their work. I've been following them for a long time. And like I have a couple other things like this that I'll get into, but also like Dalton was like, dude, he's like, people really see your work, man. Like your work is so dope. Everyone that I talked to was like, damn, Cal's doing so well. Damn, Cal, and that's not going to go in, but like, damn, Cal's doing so great. Like your business he's really doing his thing and people love it. And they're seeing just the results. And I think I was also at the USJ game and I ran into this videographer and he's like, yo, CJ Media? I'm a big fan, man. And he like dapped me up and I was like, what's up, man? You know, I was like, no, but like, I'm not like an egoic validation way, but it's like people,
I know exactly.
like people just recognize our legitimacy and people recognize like our credibility and people see us as a source, whether that be videographers or consumers of our content, athletes, organizations. They really see us as a legitimate video production company. But I cannot tell you from the inside out, it never feels that way. Like especially from a content angle, like it always like, and you know, I think you could say like the comparison is the thief of all joy, and like I think there's a lot of truth in that, but almost like you need to compare in order to get better. Like you have to look at other video production companies, other people in your life, other sources that are like you in an area that you want to get better in order to actually get better and to raise your own standards. And every single day I'm always like looking at our content, I'm like, it's all right, yeah, it's all good. And I almost feel constant lack and deficit because I want us to be better. I want us to get those aerial drone shots. I want us to get that high production video team and, you know, pull up and look a certain way. But it's almost like, to me, you don't even realize it, the inside looking out. And because outside looking in, like we have that editor's eye. We have a different eye because we're so in it all the time. Yeah. And people looking from the outside looking in, just like that time with Kristen when you're like, there's nothing wrong with you doing this type of dance, right? Like it looks fine, right? Like, but like we see certain things that other people don't, but that almost is harmful because it makes us too self-critical and leads us to not realize where we're actually at and to understand that we make problems into problems that are not actually problems. And I think a lot of times that can just, especially if you're in a circumstance where people aren't believing in you, where you necessarily don't have the resources around you, you're burdened by maybe school, time, a family, can just make it all the harder. And I think when you're able to really just take that step back and get that feedback, yeah, you may not have the best product or service right now, or whatever you're working on may not be the best, and that's okay. But really, if you can pull that truth in and see that if you're making progress, if you're regularly taking steps, even though of course at times we feel this all the time, that it's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, and you're never going to be motivated all the time to do what you need to do. But if you're always putting an effort and you're regularly putting in those baby steps, that you're going to improve over time and you're going to get there. It's slow and steady, and really the last person walking really does win the race.
Yeah. I mean, because it's an infinite game mindset.
Yeah, 100%.
The point of the game is to keep the game going.
Yeah, 100%.
There's no winning.
Yeah, no.
There's no winning.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, because I think it's also, what was this? Yeah. I forgot. You said it, but I forget. But anyway, so I think just hearing that kind of feedback from Dalton, from hearing him, because Dalton's one of those guys that has just always been there for me. He's just always been that person that has just genuinely always, whether I'm like just trying to create an objective stance of like, nah, man, I really got to take accountability for this. He's always just trying to put me back on that positive path and like defending right or wrong, which, it's just his agreeableness coming in. But he's always just been like, he's like, no, you got to keep going, man. You got to keep doing this. And it's like, for him to say that and for him to like genuinely believe that, like our relationship is so great right now. And he's really getting after it. He's really doing his thing. And it's like when you have those type of relationships, especially with you or, those people that we've ran into or like entrepreneurs or people that genuinely believe in you, it's just like that intuitive knowing that those people are going to be in your life for a really, really long time. And they genuinely want to see you win. And just even the other day, like the fire marshal, Terry, here at Central came by to like, it was like 9 in the morning. I just went to my apartment, he knocks on my door and like, he just like, checks my fire extinguisher. And he's like, you done here? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, well, a bunch of people have told me about it. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I told him like, actually the line that we came up with of the one-liner, like, oh yeah, we create, or what do we, it was like, yeah, we help athletic programs market and do social media. I don't fucking know. I said that line. Like a video production company that helps, athletic programs market themselves through video content or something like that. Yeah. And he was just like, he's like, dude, that is so awesome. He's like, I really wish the best for you. Like, I'm really looking forward to seeing like what you do. And it's like, you could just tell like the conversation, like I was like, oh shit, this guy is such a good guy. Like he genuinely wanted to see me do well. And he probably doesn't know anything about video editing or videography. But like you could tell he's not attached to being right. He's not attached to me having a certain outcome in my life because it reinforces the way he lives his life. And I can tell you what he's doing as a fire marshal, after I'm pretty sure he was supposed to retire several years ago, he does it because he loves what he does. And when you find people like that in any area, right, they're never going to come down on you for doing what you love. And you're like you were talking about before, there's so many times when you're in a conversation with someone and you just tell them, and you're living in a way in which is different from how people normally live, especially with entrepreneurship, and you just tell them the facts and the truth of your situation, of the business that you're running, it leads them to have that pit in their stomach. And for you to even state the truth, for you to even state the facts, you feel bad about because you don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. Yeah. And so just like you in that conversation, you'll either unconsciously lie to yourself in order to keep the situation comfortable and to make them feel good, or you'll say what you're doing and they'll either have that, oh, nice, or they'll try to convince you otherwise based on no context or information or accurate information at all. Yeah, and it's just tough because I think we both run into that so many times, especially, I'm quitting my job in 2 weeks. Literally leaving my job, and I am so unmotivated to do this job. I'm not doing any work. I'm doing the bare minimum, and I'm doing what I need to get by. But especially now since my schedule switched to 9 to 4, I'm like,
it's so ass.
Oh, it's terrible. It is terrible. But I was thinking about today, I would so much rather work a 10 to 7 shift, 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. to 7 p.m. than a 9 to 5. If that 10 to 7 was a CJ Media and putting my all into something that I know is going to pay off in the end versus working a 9 to 5 job that is not getting me any closer towards my goals. And it's that kind of payoff. It's that intrinsic motivation. It's that willingness to be in those moments where you're so incredibly tired and you have those tasks that are just stacking on top of you. And it's horrible. It sucks. No one wants to do it. But it's what's a more epic story and what's going to serve you the most in the long run, because you look at both those situations and you see the payoff in both of them and the person that you're turning into in both. And so work orders on a residence hall at a college campus versus making a hype reel that's going to allow us to become full-time entrepreneurs. yeah, I'm going to choose the entrepreneurship path every time.
It's crazy to think how much like those like when I think about like Max or like that Northeast story or like anybody that like
What story?
The story you told about Dalton.
Oh, yeah.
Telling like people like those few stories or few people that believe in us, bro.
Yeah, man.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You're like that's like that.
But I was also thinking about it too. Remember, like, because there's gonna be so many times like that, the people that, like, because imagine the amount of people that are afraid to tell you how good you're doing because they feel some kind of way. So many. Like I don't get me wrong, I get those egoic feelings of when I see someone doing their thing, and I feel some kind of way about it.
Yeah.
Like, but it's just a feeling. It doesn't become who I am by any means. I don't act on it. But there's so many people out there that I know, maybe possibly you're an entrepreneur doing your thing and you come into contact with them maybe at a public place or with a friend group, and you know they may play dumb, they may act stupid, they may ask you those questions about how your business is doing, maybe in a very vague and general way, but I guarantee you they're paying so much more attention to you than you know. And it's so important to know that people are looking at you. People are genuinely seeing what you're doing, and in a lot of sense, you're a pioneer, you're a trailblazer, you're a maverick, right? Like from what we saw last night with Dennis Rodman, like you're very, very different from the mold, and you're taking objectively from the crowd that you're in a big risk. But ultimately, like it depends on how you look at the risk. Do you see the risk as, I mean, yeah, I mean, like, because like if the risk is you sacrificing your happiness, your satisfaction, who you're going to become, versus the safety and security of your basic needs, you most likely have 2 or 3 friends that you can crash on their couch with, or a mom or a parent that can cover your expenses for a little bit, a job that you can pick up, Uber Eats, and most times people don't get those jobs because of the social status that comes with it.
Right.
Like, what's the bigger risk?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people just don't get it. They just don't understand that their definition of a risk is society's risk. Definition of society.
I also feel like if like when I go to gigs, I get the feeling of like people, like all those freelancers, especially if they've heard of us before, they're all very jealous and very scared that we're going to steal all their business.
Yeah.
And that's like the number one thing that like reinforces me. I'm like, oh, we're fucking doing something.
Yeah.
Like they know we're fucking kicking ass.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah.
They know. And if they didn't know, they'll know by tonight.
Yeah.
It's always a certainty. And I feel like that's like...
They'll know by tonight?
Huh?
They'll know by tonight?
They'll know by tonight when the fucking 3 videos were up tomorrow morning, 4 videos were up
Oh, okay.
tomorrow.
Understood. Yeah. Okay. I was like, what's going on tonight? I was like, do you not have news for me? Yeah. I think that's, let me see. Just want to think. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think another thing I'll just touch on real fast is like how we feel going into the, like we're both about to be full time into this, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like we're going all in, and so we've been all in, like, and now that I'm leaving my job, I no longer have bodybuilding. Like now, there's no excuses. Period. Like, and I think a lot of times, like even myself, there's so many times where I just don't feel like doing work. Period. And a lot of times, the main things that I like doing are the video edits, the simple stuff that I know I can work on, but the leads, the reach outs, the working on your business as opposed to working in your business. Working on your business is way harder. And it's those unenjoyable spreadsheet activities, right? Of managing people, leading a team, right? Like scaling, what we want to do. And it just comes back down to discipline. It just comes back down to getting in those regular reps, like me moving in with you. I mean, every single night we're 24/7 talking about the business, and we've put in, we're like just like that accountability system, like we were like just like with that thing that we were working on the other night. I was we had this assignment, and I was like, yeah, let's talk about it. And then you're like, no, let's do it tonight. And then I was like, okay, we started working on it. And then we started working on it. I was like, oh, we reached a midpoint. And I was like, yeah, I didn't, like, it was good. This is like, I didn't really feel like finishing it, right? Just based on the situation at that time. And you're like, no, let's finish this now, like, right? And like, we have the questions, let's break them down even more. And then at the end of it, like, we're like, oh my God, we finished the whole thing. And then I was like, why don't we just submit it? And then then we submit it, and then boom, it was off our plate. And so when you surround yourself with that proper environment, that accountability system with the proper partners and the proper people, it can take your lack of ability to follow through on the things that you say you're going to follow through on, squash it, and to develop that discipline. But also it falls on you at the end of the day, because you have to do it without being dependent on the other person.
Also, everybody wants to, like you said, scaling. Everybody wants the big business.
Of course.
Like, everyone's going to be jealous of how much money you make.
Yeah.
No one's going to be jealous of how hard it was.
Yeah. No.
Nobody's jealous of countless hours we spend and are going to continue to spend for years to come on working on the business, and how scary it was, and how many times we got the door slammed in our face and our nuts kicked, and lost money and had a headache because people are canceling on us last minute, whatever. How many contracts we're going to lose. How many hours we're going to spend preparing for Quinnipiac, and people are just going to tell us, oh yeah, actually we don't have a budget. Like, how many hours we spent, like, filming, editing, getting everything ready to get them as a lead, spending time and effort and money on gas to go and do everything that we could possibly can. Do everything we possibly can to get them as a paid client, and then have it not work out. No one's jealous of that.
No.
They're jealous of the outcome.
Yeah.
But they're not willing to do the things you're willing to do.
Yeah. I was thinking about this the other day too, that like when you talk to someone about, I forget, but it's like when people get like plastic surgery, or they, how do I say this? That's a general way of saying this. Or, they take a magic pill, or when people take a magic pill and it just gives them that result, that outcome, this is a good example. Like when people just when people just win the lottery, right? And they start to get millions of dollars, oftentimes they, according to statistics, if I'm not mistaken, they almost always lose all of it because they don't know how to manage it. And it's almost as though when you ask someone how they became a millionaire, and they say, and they won the lottery, but they say they were a self-made millionaire, although that other person they're talking to might believe them, they know deep down that they're lying to themselves. Because when you talk to someone that really achieved the result, building a big business, becoming a professional videographer, becoming established in any industry, they know the truth because they are speaking from an angle of evidence. And they're not speaking from an angle of, I want to appear this way, and if you see me not in that light, and you know the truth, how they're going to be hiding, and they're going to be insecure because they don't want you to see the truth, that they're not a self-made millionaire, that they're not, that they took some magic pill that just made them look like that point. And one time I ran into this videographer at this gig, and he had like such a nice rig, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And like this guy looks established, right?
He's killing it, yeah.
And I missed the hockey goal, and I was like, oh dude, did you get that? And I looked, he sent me the goal after. It was terrible. Like the way, the filming to the way the camera moved, like you could tell the kid's never picked up a camera before in his life. I'm sure he's a really nice kid, but I'm not saying he had any ill intent, but I'm saying like it's so easy to be tricked by appearance. It's so easy to believe that people are so much more established than they actually are. And one, that just shows it's super important to question if you're asking these things, but also to ask yourself, what's worth more? To lie to yourself, to take the magic pill, or to do the work and to transform your character over time so you can say that you did the things that actually got you to that point. Yeah. And you speak from an angle of evidence as opposed to an angle of just BS.
Yeah, of course. It's also the reason why you should only compare yourself to you. It's because you see the guy with the big rig, and oh my God, he's geeked out. He has everything we think we should have, and he probably is a way better filmer and editor. And you take a look at his footage, and it sucks. In this whole time, you're in your head like, fuck, we suck, we're the worst, whatever. No, you're actually 10 times better than this guy.
Yeah.
You might even be 10 times.
It's about the skill, man. It's about the skill.
That's it.
Yeah. That's why all these accessories, I mean, it's just the best analogy. It's like all these accessories, all these flashy things, really in any industry, like, it's just smoke and mirrors, period. And it can, it leads us to, like, because we don't have a rig, because we don't have a major video production company. But what matters is not the camera. What matters is the skill, right? Not even the editing software, right? It's like,
how many videographers have you met that go to the gym?
yeah, I mean, like, yeah, period. Like, I mean, to me, it's just like the perfect analogy is like anybody can pick up a camera, like anybody can start recording, and like, yeah, it takes a little bit of skill to do that, but like where the real transformation happens is in the editing software. And if you can be that person that can take bad footage and make it look good, right? If you can take a bad situation and come out with a decent outcome, or even a really good outcome if you're really skilled at what you're doing, it shows that you have skill there, and that's that skill that you developed versus the people that try to act like they're official, right? Put them in that same situation, guarantee you they won't be the same way. Period. Nice.
Love it.
Nice.